Section 5.2, example 9, determine the intercepts of a polynomial function with factoring. So given the polynomial function f of x is equal to x to the power 4 minus 4x squared minus 45, determine the y-intercept and x-intercepts. Ooh, this is going to be fun. So this is not factored for us whatsoever. We're going to have to factor it ourselves. But I feel like we're experts at factoring now, so this is going to be fun. All right, f of x is equal to x to the power 4 minus 4x squared minus 45. All right, so I know this isn't a quadratic, but it is quadratic in form. So we could kind of think of this as x squared squared minus 4x squared minus 45. So if you want, we could say that this is like w, just so you could see it a little bit differently. And here we're just going to factor the same way we would a quadratic. So we're looking for two numbers and multiply to a negative 45 and add to a negative 4. So here factors of 45 are going to be 1 times 45, 2, no, 3 times 15, 4, no, 5 times 9, 6, no, 7, no, 8, no, 9. We have it here, and that tells us that we just went around. And this being negative, oh, what did I do? There we go. This being negative tells us that we're looking for the difference between these two. The difference between 1 and 45 is 44, definitely not 4. The difference between 3 and 15 is 12, definitely not 4. The difference between 5 and 9 is 4. I think we found our number or our pair. So we have 5 and 9. This being a negative number tells us that the negative is coming from the larger number. So 9 is going to be negative. And now let's rewrite this. And instead of having negative 4, we're going to write it as the sum of 5 and negative 9. So I'm still going to keep it like this, x squared squared. Instead of negative 4, I'm going to do plus 5, we'll call this x squared, minus 9, we'll call this x squared, minus 45. And now we're going to group the first two terms together, grouping the second two terms together, making sure there's a plus in the middle. And factor out as much as you possibly can. So from this first one, it looks like I could factor out at most an x squared. So x squared times x squared plus 5. Over here, it looks like we could factor out, we're going to factor out as much as we possibly can. It looks like we could factor out a negative 9, leaving us with x squared plus 5. And because we have an x squared plus 5 in these two, we could factor out that x squared plus 5, leaving us with our x squared minus 9, which is even cooler. So from here, I see that we could factor this difference of squares, x squared plus 5 times our x plus 3, x minus 3. It doesn't look like we could factor any more from here, so it looks like we could start finding our intercepts. Gonna erase some of this. We don't need that anymore. And let's move this over so we could start finding our intercepts. I think it's going to be easiest to start with finding our y-intercept. So to find our y-intercept, we're evaluating our function at x. And I'm going to show you a little bit of a shortcut. If we were to evaluate our function here at 0, x, when x equals 0, this is 0. When x equals 0, this is 0. And we're just left with this. So we could find our y-intercept very, very quickly. So let's just do that. Everywhere we see a 0, we're going to plug, everywhere we see an x, we're going to plug a 0 in. F of 0, 0 to the power 4 times 0, or 4 times 0 to the power 2 minus 45. That goes to 0, that goes to 0. So we have negative 45. And here this gives us the point when x is 0, y is negative 45. That's our y-intercept, and now we can move on to our x-intercepts. We have room. I'm going to do our y-intercepts down here. So we just found y-intercept. Let's do x-intercepts down here. So this time x-intercepts happen when our function is equal to 0. So let's rewrite our function. F of x is equal to, and that's what we found up here. Let's use our factored form to make it a lot easier for us. X squared plus 5, or x plus 3, x minus 3. So here we're setting our function equal to 0 and seeing what our intercepts are. So our function is equal to 0 when our first part, x squared plus 5 equals 0. The second part, x plus 3 equals 0. And the last part, x minus 3 equals 0. So we find our x-intercepts here. So minus 5 both sides. X squared is equal to negative 5. And take the square root of both sides. And here, we only look for the real solutions unless they tell us otherwise. So here we have no solution. So we would just leave that part there. Minus 3 both sides. We have x is equal to negative 3. So our solution here is when x is negative 3, y is equal to 0. Super fun. And lastly, plus 3 both sides. X is equal to positive 3, and we have 3 comma 0. And there we go. So for this problem, they had asked us to find all the, so given the polynomial, determine the y-intercept and the x-intercept. These are our solutions here. So 0, negative 45, 0 comma negative 45, negative 3 comma 0, and positive 3 comma 0. There you go. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, bye.